Hey everyone, this is Dr. Mark Scott from the English and Humanities Department at Shawnee State University. Today I'm going to show you how to use Google Scholar to find academic articles, and I'll also show you how to link Google Scholar to the Clark Memorial Library website. Now you'll need to find academic articles for your major. We look to those expert sources, those academic articles, to get the most recent information for nursing procedures, safety protocols. In my discipline, I look at academic articles so that I have the most recent information about teaching writing. So it's going to be important whether you're in your major or out in your field to get the most recent and the expert information that you need to make good decisions. For the annotated bibliography and the literature review assignment, it'll be essential to find those kinds of sources for your project. And over the next few classes, I'm going to show you different methods that you can use to find academic articles. And we'll start with Google Scholar because it uses a search platform that you're already very familiar with. I'll show you how to link Google Scholar to the Clark Memorial Library website, and I'll show you some tips for using Google Scholar to find articles that could be helpful for your literature review and your annotated bibliography. So let's get started. This is going to sound a little funny, but we're going to use Google to find Google Scholar. So let's go and enter Google Scholar. And there we are. Here we have the trusty Google search field, but we also have a few different options that I want to introduce you to. I first want to show you how to link your searches to the library's website. To do that, you click over here in your settings and go all the way down here to settings and click library links. Now, because I'm on a university computer, I'm already hooked up to the Shawnee State University's library website. So if you're searching from home and this stuff isn't available, you would search for Shawnee State University here. University, and there it is, and save. So now, when you search for something, it's going to return results for the Shawnee State University Library. Now when I use Google Scholar to search for something, let's say I want to search something called ungrading in higher education. Say I want to change how I do grading in how I teach writing. Ungrading higher education, and all these results here, I get some full text stuff. So we have a lot of different options here. Ungraded writing assignments. So there's a lot of good stuff that's kind of coming through here, and I get some full text, some things that might be a little harder to get to. But using this to find academic articles, it at least kind of points you in the right direction of like, okay, what's out there? And sometimes what I use this for is to find research that looks promising for my project, and then I will see if the library has it. It also has some features over here that I think are important to point out. So you can search by time frame, so if you're looking for the most recent information, particularly those of you that are in health sciences and different fields like that, where the most recent information really does matter, using this feature over here is really kind of important. Google Scholar also has some handy features that if you're logged in with your Google account, you might think about using, particularly if you're working on larger projects like your literature review and annotated bibliography, that you can then also use for your documented argument at the end of this term. So one of the features that I think is kind of neat is that it will save articles for you, so you can kind of group things. So click this little star here to save it, and you can create labels. So let's say I want to grading practices. I want to do research on grading practices. Maybe I could use that ungrading if I want to get really specific, but I just want to throw everything about grading practices. I want to throw that into one place. So now, when we go back to Google Scholar and we go to my library, that article that I just starred will pop up here, and I can come back and take a look at it at some other time. One last kind of geeky thing that I will show you is that you can create alerts. So when new research comes out, it will get sent automatically to your library. Let me show you how to do that. So up here, the little hamburger icon. I don't know if we've settled on what we call that icon yet. I guess the menu. Go to alerts. It's going to send things to my email. Create alert. And what's the alert query? Let's say ungrading. That's the thing. Show up to 10 results. Create alert. So now, anytime the word ungrading shows up in an academic article, Google is going to send me an email. Now, I think that this is kind of a neat feature. I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff. So really only do this for projects or for topics that you're going to follow for a long time. So if you've decided on a major and there's a particular issue that you're very interested in, you can use Google Scholar Alerts to get updated information about that topic. As far as finding specific articles, which is really kind of what you need this for at this point, I want to show you a few tricks that could also be helpful. So we go to Ungrading Higher Education. And again, we got timeframes that we could take a look at. But that's still returning with, this kind of specific thing in this specific context. It's still returning 17,000 results, and that's a lot to sift through. So let's say I want to drill down and I want to look for more specific information. So I'd go over to the menu icon, Advanced Search, and here's where you could really kind of start getting into some unique searches that can return things that are going to be more appropriate for the project that you're working on. So we can do something like ungrading higher education, and we might say rural institutions. So, even more specific context, first generation college students. So we can add more things that are going to kind of filter through those 17,000 results. If I know particular authors that I'm interested in, if there's a particular publication that I'm interested in, the date of the articles, when do I want it, kind of like this thing over here that's shaded out right now. I could say I want results from 2015 to 2021. Now we're down to 452 results. So that's a bit more manageable to work with. So it gives us all this OR stuff. And what Google Search is doing, or what Google Scholar is doing, is it's searching for this term or this term or this other term. So one last tip that I would give to you, and Google has it in here because I used must include rural institutions, and that's to use the quotation marks around search terms. So if you want very specific terms, and like you want to tell Google, I need it to return, it has to include this combination of words in exactly the way that I'm going to have it, use quotation marks. So rural institutions, and here we go. 462 results, more or less the same number. One other trick that you might be able to use is to use the minus button for words that you don't want included in your results. So if you are searching something and you notice that there's a word that Google's kind of confusing with one of your other search terms, it's just kind of returning everything. That's kind of what the algorithm does. You can tell Google to omit specific words. So let's say the word upgrading keeps getting mixed up in my results, and I see that in a few places. There it is right there, upgrade. We can say remove upgrade. Do that and it will return results that don't include that word. There we go. So down to 245 results. Something that I think is really kind of neat about Google, and I'll show this to you also when we get into the library's databases and the research resources, is that you can take a look for related articles. You can also find other articles that are citing that article. So that's a nice way that if you, let's say that this list gets down to like 3 or 4, but something is cited by 54 people, then hey, you can click that and see who else is citing that article. That might provide you useful information as well. So I hope this video was able to help you find some academic articles that you might be able to use for your annotated bibliography and your literature review. Google Scholar is a really easy way to find articles because it uses a search method that we're pretty familiar with. It's not the only way to find academic articles, and sometimes it provides you too much information. So for the next video, for the next class, I'm going to show you another method to find academic articles. So I'll see you in the next video.